I'm pleased to say that I think the project's having a really positive impact even in these early stages. I think the first part is in terms of looking at the impact that it has for staff. One, I think that certainly my experience in talking to A&E staff is that they desperately want to provide support and to help people, and I think sometimes DV in particular can be a really hard issue to know what to do with. You recognise that you're seeing something's happening, but you don't necessarily know where you link that person in with. What if they don't have children and they can't be connected in with safeguarding or those sorts of things. So I think for staff, it's a real positive thing that they now know that if they see something, they can identify it, and they've got the confidence that there's somewhere that that person can get support. So I think it's had a real impact in terms of the way that they work and knowing that that's a burden that they don't have to carry themselves. So I think that's the first thing. Also then knowing that it's a service and a support that they can access if they need it, or if they need advice, or if they want to debrief. The second thing, and I guess of course the most important thing, what this is all about, is the impact that it has for patients, for the whole population, but then specifically I guess for the people who receive referrals or who receive support. So in terms of sort of the general population, in terms of patients generally, I think the fact that people are being given the opportunity to speak, to have a voice, to talk about what's going on, and to be reminded that it's not their fault, that there is support out there, is profoundly important. We know that messages that perpetrators will give will be that there is no support, that no one will help them, that the system's not there to support them. And I think what this does is actually demonstrate that that support is there. And I think my experience is that health professionals, unlike other agencies and other professionals, have a unique trust that's inbuilt. A lot of other agencies have to really work to build that rapport and that trust, but health professionals really have that already. So there is something about A&E and health settings and hospitals being a safe place. So I think in terms of that message that sends across the board, I think that's hugely important. And knowing that there's signs up, that there's, you know, posters and leaflets and information saying that this is a safe space is really positive. And then I guess sort of then drilling down to those people where the DV is identified, I think that's where you'll see the sort of strongest impact. And we know that actually domestic abuse isn't sort of black and white, that it's not just a matter of, you know, it's identified so now I'll leave. We know that different people are in different stages of their journey, and having an IDVA that is there to be non-judgmental, to support somebody irrespective of where they're at and what steps they're ready to take, I think is a pretty amazing service to have within a hospital setting. So I think what we've seen is that, you know, for those people perhaps who have disclosed, it may be the first time that they've done it, we know that actually they're going to have a positive response, and that's not always the case when people report. And the significant thing about that is that even if they're not ready to do something then and there, it will mean that next time they'll feel more confident to take that next step. So maybe they just get given information to sort of be taken away with them, or maybe it's that they know, you know, who to call or where to go next. So I think that is really good. Then the next part of that, for those people who are more ready to sort of take steps or who need that emergency support, you know, the IDVA is able to provide, well, the IDVA doesn't provide housing, but is able to connect that person in with refuge, with emergency accommodation, you know, doing safety plans, risk assessments, you know, changing locks in the home, supporting somebody through the criminal justice system. There really is no end to the sort of diversity of support that the IDVA can offer. And, you know, that will be tailored to each individual. No one person will, you know, have a safety plan that looks exactly the same. So I think that's really important. And I think the other thing that's great is that, you know, both the IDVA and the staff know what referrals need to be made, what support is offered, so people can get quite a range of options sort of given to them with no judgment about what steps they take next or how to proceed.